So as a songwriter, I use my story a hell of a lot. Most of my songs, poems, are about me. So of course my story is right in there, but I'm not telling my story. Step one, step two, this happened, this happened, this happened. It's all infusing the nature of the song, and I take little bits out of the story and little themes from the story, but I don't tell a story. That would make for a very boring song. I'm trying to kind of dress it up in a way, but like I say, the story is definitely there. So it's about taking the things that you want people to get out of it and I guess weaving that through rather than kind of scripting it. We tend to kind of think of, in Like Minds Like Mine, we've done this kind of telling your story, and you've got to stand up and go, right, here's the start and all the way through to the end. And I think we need to get away from that. I think we need to engage people better. So using your story to kind of create something beautiful is a really different way of doing it.
I describe myself as a storyteller, so I'm really into people sharing their stories, and I honestly, truly do think that it's a really important part of being human and being able to connect with each other. The other thing about storytelling is that everyone has one. Like, everybody has a story, and our stories are all different. So some of our stories are stories of a lot of trauma and a lot of pain, and some of our stories are stories of incredible resilience and strength and cool stuff that have happened. What I've learnt is that when you share your story, even if it's part of that first stuff, if it's really tough stuff, that it can be incredibly empowering and beneficial and therapeutic for you as the storyteller, and it can be equally as empowering and beneficial and therapeutic for the person who's listening. I think there are safety considerations that you have to think about, but sometimes we're a little bit risk averse. That's my view, and that can prevent storytelling. I just have this view that there's power in sharing stories of lived experience. I've seen it like hundreds of times over, yeah.
The difference between telling your story and using your story is the power and the impact that it can have. Telling your story might be quite cathartic for you, but you can find that it might feel unsafe for you or your audience because you're not quite sure that the effect it's going to have. So if you want to tell your story, you have to be really careful about how you do that and get lots of advice from people you trust around how to do that safely. Using your story, for example, or using your experience is far different, because you can do that in any moment and every day, and that's going to have the greatest effect in your day-to-day lives. That's when we call the curly questions or the triggering experiences come up, when someone says to you something around the dinner table or at the pub or in a cafe, and you go, that doesn't sound quite right, that makes me uncomfortable. It's using your experience and using the way you disclose in a way that's going to break down discrimination and stigma with people, by being able to use it in a way that's adding value, being able to use it in a way that adds to the key messages of the Like Minds Like Mine program. So if someone says to you something that you feel uncomfortable by, you can say, well, actually, I've got lived experience of mental distress and I got better, so this is what I think. And that's what using your experience is. You don't have to plan it, you don't have to wait for an opportunity, you don't have to write a speech. It's the really powerful ways you can use your experience on an everyday level that doesn't require telling it.
I feel that telling usually triggers off your audience.
Yeah,
it triggers off the person, you know, it becomes a bleh. However, with using, I feel it inspires.
Right.
Because you're coming through with key messages and things like that. So.
Yeah, so telling can trigger and using can inspire. That's kind of cool. And also there's so many ways to use it, eh? Like, you know, you can use it, you can just tell a story, or you can do an art exhibition. Yep. What other ways? Maybe writing.
You could do a little quick drama skit.
Yeah,
you could
write a blog.
Yeah, poem, whakatauki.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
Lots of different ways.
With telling a story, it's more for yourself, using your story has to have a purpose. So if you have a purpose to your story, being able to, and what you want to get out of it, it gives you a much better opportunity to actually use your story to achieve a particular goal. By having a goal or an intent to your story and what you want to achieve, that will always be an opportunity to use your story to achieve a particular goal. And that's the difference often with telling your story and using your story.
Looking at rhetoric, the word telling always says to me, you're putting something to someone. You're not actually sharing it with them. When you walk alongside somebody, you're able to use your story because they get to understand what it is you're trying to communicate. So for me, it's the two words. We tell something, we throw something at somebody. We use something, we allow ourselves to be a part of that journey.